Welcome back everyone to another DioField Chronicle skills breakdown video. This is the third video in my skills breakdown series, and this time we are covering the Cavalier skills, which have some excellent mobility and AoE attacks. If you want to see the other skills breakdowns I've done, you can check out this playlist on screen now, but otherwise, let's jump into the Cavalier skills. First up, we have the Mounted Charge Formation skill. This skill provides a lot of utility while also doing damage by sending a cavalry charge forward, pushing back and damaging enemies in a wide and fairly long area. Push alone can be a useful alternative to stunning enemies that are charging skills by simply pushing them out of range. At level 2, the skill inflicts delay as well, making it a decent control option too. Level 3 reduces its cooldown time, and level 4 increases its damage. This skill can be great for pushing back a group of enemies to give you more time to deal with other enemies, or as a way to group all your enemies together so that you can unleash a flurry of AoE skills. Next is the first of the mobility and lance skills in Full Frontal Assault. This skill has your Cavalier charge through and damage multiple enemies in a straight line. With its first upgrade, it deals extra damage to archers, making it a decent early skill to use against them. At level 2, it gains a reduced cooldown, and at level 3, it gains increased range. This skill is great for a couple of things. First, it's an excellent way to get your Cavalier out of an enemy's skill range if you can't stun the enemy, as it allows them to move a good distance away instantly. Second, it's great for getting into the enemy's backline and taking out their archers or magicers, while the rest of your units deal with the melee units. Furious Flurry is a decent cone AoE attack with a short cooldown. The damage initially can seem kind of low, but once upgraded it becomes decent, especially if you can flank your enemies. At level 1, Furious Flurry will do extra damage to enchanted beasts, at level 2 its base damage is increased, and at level 3 it gains an expanded target area. To get maximum effect from this skill, try to use it to hit several enemies at once and from behind when possible. The next skill is another good skill for grouping enemies up. Vicious Swing is an AoE attack that hits all enemies around your Cavalier and then moves the enemies in front of your Cavalier. Its first upgrade reduces its EP cost from 25 to 20, the second inflicts delay, and the last expands the area of effect. Vicious Swing does not do great damage, but it can be a good alternative to Mounted Charge for grouping enemies up if most of them are to your sides or behind you rather than in front of you. Next up is Horse Kick. This is another mobility skill, but this time it also moves an enemy, making them trade places with your Cavalier. While interesting and useful for moving an enemy that is charging a skill out of range, it is also pretty weak on damage. It is relatively cheap though at only 15 EP and a 6-second cooldown. At level 1, Horse Kick's EP cost is reduced by 3, at level 2 its range is increased, and at level 3 it stuns. Though useful in some cases, I found other skills in the Cavalier tree to do the same thing as this one, but more effectively. Finally, for the lance side of the Cavalier tree, we have Lance Strike. This ultimate skill for the lance deals damage in an AoE around a targeted enemy and does extra damage to archers. I like this one as an upgrade to using Full Frontal Assault against archers, though it can sometimes be hard to group up the archers for maximum effect. At level 1, it does 20% more damage, at level 2, it gains a larger AoE, and at level 3, it gives delay to enemies, slowing down their movement, attacks, and cooldowns. The downside to this skill, as with all the ultimate skills, is the high EP cost and cooldown time. Before we get to the second half of the skill tree, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss my future content on the DioField Chronicle and other tactics, strategy, and RPG games. Thank you so much, you guys are great. Now moving over to the Claw or Wyvern Rider side of the Cavalier tree, we have Flame Breath. This skill is just fun to use as you get to breathe dragon fire down on your enemies. Unfortunately, it isn't as damaging as I'd like dragon fire to be, but it does inflict burn, which gives great damage over time, and attacks in a cone AoE so it can hit multiple foes. At level 1, it gets a welcome 20% damage boost. At level 2, its EP cost is reduced from 20 to 16, and at level 3, it gets a range boost. I used this one quite a bit, mainly to inflict burn so that I could get more damage from skills like Shadow Step. Next we have Flame Assault, which is basically an upgrade to full Frontal Assault, though it does do extra damage to archers. This one has your Wyvern fly in a straight line, damaging enemies and setting the ground ablaze. At level 1, the flames on the ground last longer, at level 2, the skill has a reduced cooldown, and at level 3, its range increases. This skill can generally be used in the same way that full Frontal Assault is. As far as setting the ground ablaze, I never really found this very useful, but it does do damage over time to any enemies standing in it. Rush Flare is an interesting one, as you target an ally with it and then attack in an AoE around your ally. This gives the skill a pretty large area of effect, but this is one of those cases of other skills like Meteor Fall from the Magicka class just being better, if more expensive. Of course, if you don't have Meteor Fall equipped in your party, then Rush Flare could be a substitute for it, though it doesn't inflict burn. At level 1, it gets an EP cost reduction, down to 16, at level 2, it does more damage, and at level 3, it gives rapidity to the ally that was targeted. The next skill, Wings of the Storm, is similar to Vicious Swing in that it damages enemies in a wide area and then groups them up, making it easier to hit them with other AoE attacks. The upgrades for this one are Giving Delay at level 1, reducing EP cost at level 2, and expanding the AoE at level 3. Given the choice, I'd pick Wings of the Storm over Vicious Swing. Finally, we come to the ultimate skill on the Wyvern side of the skill tree, Cyclone. This skill is pretty cool, and can be pretty effective when used right. It creates a giant tornado that hits all enemies in a straight line multiple times. This can be very effective if you can force your foes to group up first. At level 1, Cyclone does more damage, at level 2, it gains a larger target area, and at level 3, it also stuns. As with the other ultimate skills though, this one has a high cost at 40 EP and a 20-second cooldown. That will do it for all the Cavalier skills. If you want to see another one of my class breakdowns, you can watch this one here, and as always, thank you for watching, and keep on gaming.